Hey, and happy Super Bowl week from Radically Rational. We don't love the Super Bowl in spite of its wretched excess. We love the Super Bowl because of its wretched excess. It's wonderful. We'll all go back to being austere next Monday. Okay, if you go over to the sports blog at radicallyrational.com, each morning this week, I'm taking a different component of the Super Bowl matchup and analyzing that and breaking it down for you. Today, we're taking a look at the Bengals offense. I'm going to tell you who the key player is going to be Sunday on the Bengals offense, and it's not who you think it is. Okay, so how about the Texans? They got saved from themselves. They finally did the rational thing. They figured out that the solution to their head coaching problem right now was right in the building. This is one they got right, maybe in spite of themselves. This isn't going to make the Texans a great team, but before you can get better, you have to stop getting worse. And they have done that with the hiring of Lovie Smith. That makes just a whole lot of sense. Okay, let's go over some societal basics real quickly. And let's start with the notion of freedom. Okay, freedom doesn't mean that you can be socially irresponsible. Freedom doesn't mean that you can do anything you want to do at the expense of others. It's why we ask you to stop at a red light, etc. Essentially, yes, our freedom ends where somebody else's nose and lungs begin. And it does not free you from social responsibility. You know, in World War II, we turned all our lights out at night so the bad guys couldn't see us. And you know, if somebody left their lights on, they would not be a proponent of freedom. They'd be a jackass. Freedom is not licensed to be a jackass. Now, let's talk about freedom of speech and the First Amendment. Here's all it means. You're free to let it come flying out of your mouth in the first place. It doesn't mean that you're free from the consequences. It doesn't mean that nobody can challenge you. It doesn't mean that nobody can really shoot you down. It doesn't mean that you have a right to an audience. It doesn't mean that anybody has to listen to you. It simply means that you're free to say it in the first place, and then we go from there. And apparently we need to re-clarify this notion of censorship. The only entity that can censor anybody is the government, and that is the censorship that is prohibited by the Constitution. Okay? If a private company or entity simply controls or edits the content on their property, that's not censorship. That is free enterprise. This may surprise you, but for the most part, I'm actually kind of okay with the whole Spotify thing. Here's the deal. Spotify has a right to control their business and their content. Neil Young, for example, has a right to say, I don't want to park my car in your garage. I think I'm cool with it for the most part. And market forces will take over. I'm appalled by what Joe Rogan has said, but I'm going to let somebody else handle it. Either market forces will take care of it, or he'll get fired by his employer. But I'm not one of these people who thinks that everybody has to get fired every time they say something offensive. Fix rather than fire. I'm okay with that. So here's the deal. You have a right to control your content. You don't have a right to control somebody else's content. Social media, Facebook, yeah, look, they drive me crazy, but they do have a right to control their content, and we know what the rules are. And if you don't like those rules, you don't have to participate, but it is their property. Now, you do kind of sublease your page, and you have every right to control what's on your page and what's not on your page. For the most part, my form of controlling it is not controlling it. And that's why I let so many of you jackasses get on my page and say any jackass thing you want to, primarily because I know that you're out of your league intellectually, and then I have the fun of shooting you down. But you have to understand this. People control their content. It is a private property thing. Now, here's what you can do. You can invest your own money and you can start your own media company. And for the most part, as long as it's legal and responsible, you can say anything you want to. You can let anybody onto your platform that you want to, and you can keep anybody off of your platform that you want to. That's freedom. It's kind of like in coaching, what they say is, he who gets the chalk last wins. You busted. We're radically rational.